Adding Decimals with Mr. O'Sullivan. So, what is a decimal? A decimal is a fraction written in a different way. We know how to write fractions, but fractions actually represent different place values. We can also represent them as decimals. For example, 3/10 can be written as a fraction with a numerator of 3 and a denominator of 10, or it can be written as a decimal, written as such, 0.3. These values, whether written as a fraction or a decimal, are equal. The decimal point, the little dot, separates the whole numbers from the parts of a number. It separates the place values that represent whole numbers and the place values that represent parts of a number or a fraction of a number. For example, 35 and 4/10. This number has three place values. The tens and the ones, which are the whole number's place values, and the tenths, which is a fractional number place value. 35 represents the whole number. 4 represents the fractional number. The decimal point separates the place values with the whole numbers from the place values with the parts of a number or fractions of a number. When adding whole numbers, well, you have to line up the place values. In this case, we have 4,325 plus 768. Both of these numbers are whole numbers. When adding these two whole numbers, we know we need to line up the place values. 5 and 8 are in the ones place value. 2 and 6 are in the tens place value. 3 and 7 are in the hundreds place value. And 4 is in the thousands place value. Once the values are in the appropriate place value columns, you can then add. We do the same thing when adding decimal numbers. You need to line them up by their place values. Let's add 49 and 38 hundredths and 72 and 51 hundredths. Start by lining the numbers up by place value with our intention of adding them. So, line up our tens, our ones, our tenths, and our hundredths. We know which place value is which because of the decimal point. To add, we start with the least greatest place value. In this case, the hundredths. 8 plus 1 is 9, therefore we have 9 hundredths. 3 plus 5 is 8, therefore we have 8 tenths. As we move to the left, we need to remember to bring our decimal point down. 9 plus 2 is 11, therefore we have 1 1, and regroup our extra 10. 7 plus 4 plus 1 is 12. We put 2 in our tens place and regroup our extra 100. Therefore, we have 100. The decimal point continues to separate the whole numbers from the parts of a number. Our value is 121 and 89 hundredths. The decimal point separates our whole number, 121, from our part of a number, 89 hundredths. Another great example of where we add decimals is with money. Let's say you walk into a store and you buy two things. One item is $8.33. The other is $1.85. When adding up the total sum, we need to line the two numbers up by place value. Our ones, our tens, and our hundredths. First, start adding with our hundredths place value. 3 plus 5 is 8, therefore we have 8 hundredths. 3 plus 8 is 11, therefore we have 1/10, and we regroup our extra 1 that we've created. 8 plus 1 plus 1 is 10, therefore we have 0 ones, and we regroup our extra 10. That gives us 1 in our tens place value. Our sum of the two numbers is $10.18, or 10 wholes and 18 hundredths. The decimal point continues to separate our whole numbers from our parts of a number. Try adding these three problems. If you have scrap paper, use that. Don't forget to line up the place values.